Police and Fire Commission for Wednesday, May 12th. Lori, will you do the roll?
Okay. Earl?
Yes.
Pinker?
Here.
Meek?
Here.
Keo?
Yes.
Myers?
Here.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is a public comment period. Is there anyone that would like to make a public comment? If so, come up here. I'll step aside and you can make a comment. Evidently not. Okay, we're moving on. Election of officers. I would like to nominate Mike Meyer for president. And are there any other nominations for president?
Move we cast a unanimous ballot in favor of Mike Myers for president.
Second. Okay. Roll call.
Earl?
Yes.
Pinker?
Yes.
Meek?
Yes.
Keo?
Yes.
Myers?
Yes.
Okay. So all yours, I'll step aside.
Okay, thank you, everybody. Appreciate the full confidence. Next officer we need to elect is a vice chairman or vice president. Are there any nominations?
I'll nominate Bill Pinker.
Bill Pinker's been nominated. Are there any other nominations? Any other nominations? I'll entertain a motion for unanimous ballot for Bill Pinker for vice president.
Also move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second. On to our roll call.
Earl?
Yes.
Pinker?
President.
Meek?
Yes.
Keo?
Yes.
Myers?
Yes. Congratulations, Bill.
Thank you.
Next is the secretary for the commission. Are there any nominations?
Nominate Mr. Meek.
Meek for secretary. Are there any other nominations? Any other nominations for secretary? I'd entertain a motion to cast a unanimous ballot for Mr. Meek for secretary of the commission.
So moved.
Also move.
Motion in a second.
Second.
Pinker. Roll call, please.
Earl?
Yes.
Pinker?
Yes.
Meek?
Yes.
Keo?
Yes.
And Myers?
Yes. Congratulations. Next item on the agenda is a helmet shield presentation. Chief?
Thank you. So Nate Sager started with us April 20th of last year. He recently completed his one-year probationary period. Recent tradition that we started here is at the completion of his 1 year, he gets his official helmet shield. So he'll take his recruit shield off and put his official one on. So he's been very active during his probationary period. He's currently in critical care class, finishing that up. And recently, something that I just found out, he's a very talented musician. We won't go any further than that right now, but he can play multiple instruments and he's very, very good. So with that, congratulations.
So we need an example of that or something sometime?
Sometime. Yeah.
Put that on his future agenda.
There you go.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Approval of minutes for the April 14th, 2001 regular meeting.
Move approval.
Motion by Andy, second by Baker. Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Approved. Motion carried. Approval of police department bills. Chief.
Good morning. You have two sets of bills in front of you. One was approved by Commissioner Myers on the 21st of April, and the second approved by Commissioner Earl on the 5th of May. There's just a couple items of note that I'd like to point out. On 7C, you'll see the purchase of 5 alcohol sensor units, mouthpieces, and cases, otherwise commonly known as pulmonary breath tests. And we did get a little bit of grant money for that, which I'll have Lieutenant Messer explain, because he kind of spearheaded that whole thing.
Sure, that was a purchase that we made with so part of the Macy group and us are joined together, and they have a grant in which we take a lot of our money for like compliance checks and things like that throughout the course of the year. So it's all alcohol-based type stuff. We're also doing this thing called a POLD initiative with them. It's place of last drink. So we're trying to, through our OWIRS throughout the year, we're starting to keep track of where people might be coming from and whether or not we can determine if there's any certain problem establishment in the city for over-serving purposes. So as part of that group, they have that grant money that we can use for alcohol-related items. And one of the things identified that we're in need of are these PBTs. Ours were between 10 and 13 years old. Most of the time, the fuel cells in those only last about 7 to 9 years. So we've been lucky that ours have lasted. But with the help of that grant, we're able to get 5 of those right now. And then the second year portion of the grant will start after July 1st, I believe. And then we'll be able to get the other 5, which will outfit all of our first line squads, 1 in our booking area, 1 each for our school resource officers, and the K9 squads as well. So we should be set up very nicely with updating those through the grants.
Thanks. Second item of note I'd like to point out is the purchase of a 2021 Dodge Durango that's on 7P. The amount of $34,126.50. We purchased that through B&H Automotive right here in Marshfield. That's actually the first of our 2 budgeted frontline squads for the year. Typically we purchase 3, but when we looked at our mileage and given some of the budget process and how we felt we could help as a department, we are willing to run one of our pickup trucks a little bit higher and forego that this year, with the understanding that we would go back to 3 next year in the capital improvement plan. So I think we'll be able to manage that quite well. The second of those squads should be in any time in the future. The actual switchovers may not occur until a little bit later in the year because, again, whether it's due to COVID or other reasons, we save mileage on driving to court, things like that. Our mileage has been a little bit lower this year, so we're going to run the current one just a little bit longer. So, with that, I would be happy to answer any questions and look for your approval.
Any questions on the bills for the police department? Entertain a motion to approve.
Motion.
Motion by
Second.
Earl, second by Banker. Roll call.
Earl,
Yes.
Pinker,
Yes.
Meek,
Yes.
Keo,
Yes.
Myers.
Yes. Thanks, Chief. Approval of fire department bills, Chief Owen.
All right, you have 2 sets of bills in your packet. Both were signed by Commissioner Myers. The first one on April 20th and the second one on February 4th. Just a few things, a few high ticket items to bring to your attention. On 8D, you'll see a payment of $22,346 and some change to Hamilton Medical. That is for the purchase of 1 transport ventilator. And that was purchased with CARES Act funding. So there was no cost to the department. It was all reimbursed through the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act. The second one on 8F was to Stryker Sales. That was for nearly $34,000. And that was a budgeted item for a new cardiac monitor and defibrillator. We've started a replacement program, taking our oldest one out of service and replacing it with a new one. And then on 8P, there's a $64,000 payment to RI Flooring Epoxy. That is the final payment for the apparatus floor repair project. They are here today, and I think tomorrow, maybe Friday, finishing up. They have one room to do and a couple of touch-ups, but the floor is installed and it really looks nice. Be happy to show anyone after this meeting if you're interested in seeing it. But other than that, I'd be happy to answer any questions and ask for your approval.
Any questions of the chief? I'll entertain a motion to approve the bills for the fire department. Motion to approve. By me. Second.
Second.
Second, Earl. Roll call, please.
Earl,
Yes.
Banker,
Yes.
Meek,
Yes.
Keo,
Yes.
Myers.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Police department activities. Mr. Zeppo.
All right, this month again was fairly routine in terms of activities and consisted of a lot of online trainings and meetings that you'll see in your packet. Part of the reason for this is over the last training calendar year with the COVID epidemic, the state of Wisconsin actually gave us a reprieve on the 24 hours of mandatory training to stay certified. That reprieve is no longer in effect, so by July 1st, every officer has to have their 24 hours in. So, you know, some of the challenges have centered around finding training for people to go to once we started letting people travel again. But the virtual training has been a very good substitute, so you'll notice that there's a lot of those on there. You'll also see on page 90 that we held 2 small award ceremonies for awards given out by our honors committee. Those 2 ceremonies were actually in lieu of the largest ceremony we did, it would be 2 falls ago up at the clinic. We really moved away from giving awards out at Police Memorial Day because it kind of took the focus off of the purpose of Police Memorial Day. And we moved it to that little ceremony. So it was rather low key this year, just trying to keep some of the numbers down with COVID. Hindsight, I think what would have been helpful to you is we would have sent the list out there. I don't know that that was done. But we did post several of the lists or several of the awards on Facebook. So they are out there. And we are hopeful that we can resume that kind of full-blown ceremony next year. In terms of a COVID update, we have relaxed the mask mandate that just to stay consistent with the city. And that's been working well. We still try to maintain social distancing where we can and wear masks in the community. We still do that. So we have gone a rather significant amount of time without any type of a quarantine. So I think we're doing well there. As far as staff travel, we have resumed that fully. And I think I might have touched on that last month. There's been no known issues or exposures. Seems like the outfits putting on these trainings have done a really good job at keeping individuals safe to the extent that they can. So other than that, we're pretty much back to full service. We are holding off just a little bit on tours and ride-alongs yet, but I foresee that coming in the near future. So with that, I would be happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions? Police people, place them on file. Thank you. Fire department activities, Chief Owen.
All right, start with the COVID update. We're very similar to the police department. Masks have been relaxed. As Lori said, one of the first days that we relaxed, it's nice to see people's smiles again. It's just that simple act of getting rid of the masks around the station, I think, has helped with some morale. It's nice to be able to walk out there and see people laughing and stuff. So we are not doing station tours yet. Those are still on hold. We will do small groups, kind of on a case-by-case basis. For example, we had Leadership Marshfield in here on April 22nd, which went really well. They only had like 12 people, so it was not a huge group. But for the most part, tours are on hold. Just a quick thank you publicly to Randy Gershman and Jennifer Meese for their time on the commission. Even though we didn't agree on many things as of late, I do thank Randy for his time and dedication, and then Jen for her expertise and assistance during especially the COVID issues. So just a public thank you to those two for serving on the commission. In the package, you'll see several ride-alongs. the ride-along season for paramedic students are actually coming to an end for now. The school is getting ready to run their exam, and ride-alongs will start up probably late fall again. On 10A and 10B, we had 6 people go to Mid-State for a RIT training. RIT is a Rapid Intervention Team. There was 24 hours of training. And the RIT team, excuse me, is designed to rescue firefighters in the event something happens, a collapse, some type of unexpected event, medical emergency inside of a fire, whatever it is. So they completed that training, and they are prepping to bring that training to the rest of the department. On 10B and C, James Rowan, who is our fire service leadership coach, was here for 3 days. He met with each on-duty member on their shift, and then we had a department-wide meeting to discuss different survey results, and the discussion went pretty good. There's definitely things that we're working on, and I think his interaction with most members was very, very positive. The monthly statistics are in there, a couple of thank you cards, and other than that, happy to answer any questions and ask that you accept and place on file.
Scott, his leadership, was that the 360 surveys?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And what was the purpose on those, the end game?
So last year, I had started working with, or meeting with James. He does a monthly fire chief roundtable. It's a nationwide thing. And there's about 5 or 6 of us that show up to these. But I found it to be very informative, and I started the process of finding out how much it would be to enroll, in this program. And then following the personnel evaluation last year, we made the decision to move forward with implementing the program. Actually, Deputy Chief Fletty got the ball rolling while I was off on medical. And so the goal is to develop our leaders, our future leaders here, and to really show people kind of what their strengths and weaknesses are. And I think it's going well. There are some individuals that don't buy into this, and that's fine. You're going to have that anytime. But most of those that want to progress in the department are going through it and learning.
Then on 10C, the multipliers program.
Mm-hmm.
And what is that?
So the multipliers, that is something that James Rowan recommended to many of our leaders to read this book called Multipliers. And Multipliers is really, instead of like always downplaying something, it's a way to turn things to be more positive and get the other person who's like asking a question to come up with a resolution, to be more engaged. And this is a program that we're going to do monthly that just kind of talks about how different people respond to different things. It starts with a survey, but so if I presented a problem to Pete, instead of Pete saying, well, I'll go do it right away, I'll take care of it, he would ask questions and say, is that something that you can do? Is that something that we can do? And then he would ask them to do it. So it's kind of like getting away from micromanaging type things, more on empowerment of other people.
So in other words, it's kind of like a nicer version of what John Salka writes about Firehouse.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's actually, the book is very, very interesting. One of our relief lieutenants read it in a couple of days, and he really enjoyed it. He learned a lot already, so.
I should add, I was invited to participate in the 360, and the man was spot on.
Scary,
The
isn't
only
it?
thing he was a little bit off on is about my timeliness, about getting me paid for being on time. What he meant is I show up right on time, which was what I did today. So it was very interesting. I was hesitant at first, but when he started talking about it from having never met the person before, I don't think he was off on anything else. So it was great.
Yeah, it is kind of scary. You know, everybody fills out a survey, and then he interprets the survey, and he is spot on without even talking to you or seeing you. It's kind of scary.
I thought you guys filled him in on everything.
No. And he says if any of the commissioners want it, he'll do it for you. So he'd be happy to.
Good stuff. It had to help the people in the department.
Yeah.
And if he did it in front of, he did it in front of a couple people, and I don't think anybody could disagree with what he came up with. And if he did that with the department members, it's an eye opener for them too.
Yeah.
The qualities and attributes people had. Okay. Are there any other questions on the fire department activities? We will receive those and place them on file. Approve the retirement of firefighter relief lieutenant Jeff Barth. Chief.
Yeah, so Jeff started with our department June 17th, 1996. He is retiring at the end of shift on Sunday, so he'll actually be retiring at 8 a.m. Monday morning. Over the last 25 years, he's been very active in different facets of the department. He's been a relief lieutenant for several years. I want to thank Jeff both personally and professionally for everything that he has done, not only for the department, but for the city and the community. He is a true firefighter, first one in, prefers to be on the nozzle, takes it away if he can. If he's in command, he prefers to be in the fire, not outside. But he will be missed around here. So we wish him the best of luck in his future endeavors. He's big into fishing, and he's got his landscaping, and so no doubt he'll be busy and he'll be around. So with that, I ask you to accept Jeff's retirement resignation effective the end of his shift on May 16th, 2021.
Is there a motion to receive or approve his retirement?
A motion.
Okay, motion by Steve Meek, second. Mr. Pinker, I would like to add with regrets, if we could, to that motion. I know I've been following Jeff through the years, and he's been an integral part of the department. Any questions on that? We'll have a roll call.
Earl,
Yes.
Banker,
Yes.
Meek,
Yeah.
Keo,
Yes.
Myers.
Yes. Before we adjourn, I'd just like to say, if the chief could take us around, I think you'd be impressed with the floor for the money it should be. But it serves a purpose, and after we got business out of the way, it's certainly like numbers. Mr. Meek, I think you're going to enjoy this. If you ever have any questions about anything, let me know. Let any of us know. The line of communication's open. And Bill, I have a copy of the handbook for you. I gave one to Steve already from the League of Municipalities. That you can find that helpful. There's also a training that usually takes place in October, summer, every year. By the league, it's a day-long thing, and I think lately it's been on Stevens Point. I certainly encourage you to find out offer to take advantage of that. I found it helpful, and so again, if you have any questions on anything, let me know, and we'll try to go forward from here. And I do appreciate the vote of confidence. I think we're involved with a lot of stuff in both departments, and I think we'll make a good team. So, hearing no objections, item on the agenda is adjourned, so we are adjourned.